Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers. We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together.
Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Shelly. We're so glad that you are all joining us today.
And today we have a guest that we're excited to introduce you to. Austin Kelly is here, and he is the CEO of the Christian channel and creator of a brand new series called Night of the Cross. Welcome, Austin. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa.
Austin, tell us how you got involved, I guess, first with the Christian channel.
Yeah, so the Christian channel started, I want to say 5 years ago. My background's in marketing and making commercials. So I've worked with celebrities, for a very long time. And I did some crowdfunding, early days, Kickstarter. But I really just got back into my faith. I was your typical Catholic, in Los Angeles, where I'm at now. And, sinning 7 days a week, receiving communion, not knowing my faith. And what had happened was Los Angeles during the middle of the pandemic was a little bonkers, more bonkers than normal. And we had people tearing down statues of Junipero Serra, tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus in the name of indigenous cultures and, blah, blah, blah. And I just knew it was a lie, but that wasn't the turning point. The turning point was when the San Gabriel mission caught on fire, which was not too far away from my house. And that mission has been there, before, it was even California, it was Mexico. Mm-hmm. So when the mission got on fire, I knew I had to do something about my faith. So I said, God, use me, use my talents to serve you instead of serving the celebrities and, working at Walmart or working on the products at Walmart and Target. Every big name celebrity you could think of or walk on your local Target or Walmart, I probably worked on that account and built that up and, did the fun stuff. So I was really talented in social media and realized, wow, there's a lot of lies in media about our Christian faith. We need to create a Christian channel to binge the Bible or to binge the lives of the saints, to really catechize our Catholics about our Christian roots and Jewish roots of the Eucharist and a bunch of information. So it didn't happen overnight. What I learned from influencers and celebrities is we leveraged influencer marketing. That's exactly what we did to raise millions of dollars for these big companies. So I don't know if you two know this, but I'm not famous or claim to be famous, but I work with famous people. So I ended up reaching out to a few influencers in the Catholic circles and leveraged their influence and started crowdfunding films and started making films. So by the graces of God, it's been 5 years and now we're here talking to you about a feature cinematic TV series about the Crusades. So to put the Crusades to rest, they were actually good. Who knew?
That sounds like a news breaking.
Right. So then what inspired the creation of Knights of the Cross?
Well, it goes back to influencer marketing. So like I said, the lies of the Crusade, Hollywood has, infiltrated the lies and there's a lot of hatred about it. And, you look at the Hollywood movies, they're not making it like Ben-Hur anymore. They're actually full blown attack marriage, family, Christian history, and building a hatred, really. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to one of the most influential Crusader YouTube channels, Real Crusades History, got to get to know the owner. Turned out J. Stephen Roberts is a devout Catholic. He's not too far away from you two in Oklahoma. And he has a very popular Crusader channel, history channel, really. And I said, hey, let's crowdfund a TV show. I'm not asking you for $1 million, but let me use my talent to help raise the funds to make the TV show happen. And that's exactly what happened with this project. So we didn't want to make a cheesy Crusader film like your typical, I'm not going to pick on any Christian studios, rom-com, but we wanted to make Christian history. And what drove the Crusaders? Well, it was their faith. They were defending Christendom. We wanted to place it in a time and period where the Crusades mattered. And the most epic time was probably the Third Crusade, when the King of England went to the Holy Land and defended the faith, along with France and a few other folks. So it's an epic battle, deeply spiritual. If you watch the show, about the Eucharist and about our Mass and about purgatory. So it's very visual, and that's the whole point of the show, is to show Catholics the visual aspect of the faith. If we had a bigger budget, we make Dante's Inferno, but this is just a glimpse of what hell, what the afterlife, what purgatory is afterlife. So yeah, I kind of want to scare some people to go back to church.
Yeah, the purgatory scene I was like, whoa. That was the first episode is available already. It's available on YouTube, and we'll put a link in the show notes to make sure everyone can go and take a look at it. And I don't really want to give away anything in that first episode, but there were some very beautiful cinematic scenes that I found very poignant. And the introduction of the characters, I guess it's not a spoiler to say that the main character is King Richard, who most of us know as the Lionheart. Although I would dare to say most people identify that name with Robin Hood and not with the Crusades.
So. Thought about that.
Hey, who knows? There might be a spinoff. We'll see. If HBO wants a spinoff of hey, we'll totally do it. So we'll throw a little Saint Dismas attitude in there. We'll just
Right. But the purgatory scene was quite striking. And I found it very interesting, the way that came about. So I, again, don't want to spoil it. So.
I could spoil it for you. It's available. So the purgatory scene was a really odd day on the film set. So like I said, this started in 2020. California was really restrictive with filmmaking. So we actually filmed it in Utah. And there's not many Latin Mass priests in the state of Utah. So this takes place in the 13th century. So the mid 1200s, the medieval times, right? So we actually invited a Latin Mass priest to come to the movie set. And he actually that was Father Gray, you saw in episode 1. Father Gray, you've seen him on EWTN a few times, but he joined us on the film set. And I was a little scared, to be honest with you, because most of the men and women in purgatory, if you ever look at your purgatory card, they're kind of half naked. They're kind of just wearing a piece of thread, and they're burning in purgatory. And so I was a little embarrassed by how many nearly naked people were there. And I said, Father, I'm so sorry that, everybody's naked, and I'm so sorry. And he gets out his purgatory card and he looks at it, the people burning in purgatory, and he looks at the crowd and he goes, it's about right. Yeah, it's fine. So we got approval. But the whole point of the show was, the episode 1 was, how do we have faith? What gives us strength? What gives us faith? Because Richard lands to the Holy Land. He falls into a fever, which is true. And as filmmakers, we took creative license with that and said, well, he went to purgatory. He saw his father, and the father said, I did not do God's will. And then he has another hallucination where he's at a mass, a Catholic mass, and the priest gives him the Eucharist. And through the Eucharist, it levitates him to come back to life, kind of like a beautiful butterfly, right? That's in a cocoon and it comes to life. And he levitates in the mass and he wakes up from his dream. And he says, oh, wow, I know why I'm here. Because a lot of us, especially Catholics, especially when we start new enterprises, podcasts, whatever new ventures, we have this doubt. Even when we started the Christian channel, I certainly had my doubt, because we spent a lot of money on christianchannel.com, right? I maxed out my credit card for it. I had to really believe in this project. And I remember the day I maxed out my credit card, it was a concept. Nobody wants to stream a Christian Netflix. Nobody. Who wants to do that? And I remember kicking literally rocks. And then the moment we got the first pre-order, it was like lighting a match in a room filled with gas. Then I went full steam ahead. And that first pre-order is where we're at now. We raised over $500,000. We've had thousands of paid fans subscribe to the Christian channel. We're still up and running, for a streaming service that streams classic movies like The Bells of St. Mary's and, I don't want to spoil what other movies we might get. Maybe It's a Wonderful Life in the near future. So we want to continue to catechize, but give Christians a platform just to relax. Media, what's on the media today? I don't need to sell you on it. You know what's going on.
Yeah. So you can watch as a family and not have to worry about what's going to pop up that you didn't know was out there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm a big believer in supporting other Catholic filmmakers too. So I think that's the only way we're going to get ahead, because the agenda is pretty clear in the media. And my background's in media. I went to college for media. I went to Penn State for media. So it's for me as a Catholic now, practicing my faith, praying the rosary every day, going to, daily mass and, sacraments daily, as often as I can. I'm a little nuts like that. But the thing is, it's an attack on marriage and the family. If you get that, the rest is history. You should only be supporting Catholic content or content that is alignment with your faith and with your family. If it's not, cancel them. That's the only way things are going to get moved around here. There's a lot of great people that are doing great things. I don't want to spoil them, but there may be a Hays Code coming in. There may be, and I'm in full steam of support of that new Hays Code. They're calling it the Gabriel Code. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, Hollywood really needs to get knocked in the teeth a little bit, because we're sick of it. And, I'm just a little independent, but this is great. Podcasting's great, but we need to support each other. And that makes great content too. We need to support each other financially, spiritually, because these spiritual attacks do happen.
I have to ask. So this sounds like it was a very big change, not only for you professionally, but for your life, your personal life too. So how has that been received by your colleagues, by your environment there? Because you're still in LA, right? So how has that been for you?
Yeah, I get fired a lot. So I'll get really big, high-paying jobs. And, one I remember I worked for this big company and I had a big ash on my forehead for Ash Wednesday. Oh, man, they did not like that. And I got fired. But, that's why I lean on St. Joseph so much, because I'm not going to take out my ashes. This is my faith. And it reminds people that, from dust, we're going to turn into dust one day. So I think the reason why there's so much hatred against our Catholic faith is because as Catholics, when we imitate Christ every day and we do our best every day, I'm not perfect. I strive to be perfect. I strive to imitate Christ. I make mistakes. I'll drop an F-bomb here and there, but that's a mistake and I have to go to confession. But what I'm trying to say is when we live our faith, we remind people about their sins sometimes. And that's what gets them upset.
I would agree with that.
I was trying to remember something I read this morning in the Magnificat that was about, it wasn't, did I write great books like St. Thomas of Aquinas? It wasn't, did I do great things like the Crusades? But did I do enough with the talent that God gave me? Did I do enough in the place that I am assigned to be? And that's what I was thinking as you were talking. You are where you are at this particular time and place, and God is using you. And you're doing, it sounds like, very much what he's calling you to do. And I was just thinking of our listeners and how, they might be sitting there going, well, I'm not in Hollywood. I'm not in, this, that, the other, but you are. And that's what he's calling you to do. And for our listeners, it might be whatever they're in at their moment and stage of life and doing what they need to be doing. So that's where my mind went for a moment. Sorry. I read
Shelly,
that this morning.
You're absolutely right. But it takes an audience. It's not just doing the great work. It takes a rally of audience. I was on another show, and it'll come out soon. But I said this, really, it doesn't take that many people to make a big difference. It really just takes around 3,000 to 1,000 people to really make a huge impact in cinema. Shelly and I met at the Triumph of the Heart premiere. We all know that was an independent film, a phenomenal film about St. Maximilian Kolbe, 100% crowdfunded. We need just 1,000 to 3,000. I believe there was 1,000 people at the premiere. We just need about 1,000 to 3,000 to impact millions of people. Imagine how many millions of people are going to watch that on HBO, Hulu, Peacock when it is streaming, and going to come back to the faith. That's the importance of cinema. It pierces the heart of when it's a true story, it pierces the heart. You know, how many people came back to the faith because of Passion of the Christ?
Yes.
So it's so true. So we need to be supporting artists like, you know, I think it's Anthony and Mark D'Ambrosio, right? Mm-hmm. We need to be, and they're Italian, so, you know, they make it well. So, yes, we need to continue to support artists that, but also we need an audience. We need about 1,000, 3,000 to contribute, you know, $100 to $200 per crowdfund.
Mm-hmm. That's so amazing to me that there is a number. I don't think I've ever thought of how many people can make, and I'd say this, it's lower than I expected. And so that's exciting to me that maybe there's somebody out there thinking, well, what's my little bit going to do? No, your little bit is going to do a lot. It's more than you realize, because when you think of the millions of people that can benefit from this, if we all took a moment and supported good television, good film, then we'd be able to make the change we want to see today. And so I love the way you phrased that there. Just, you know, you could be 1 in 1,000, 1 in 3,000. You could get other people to come in and be 1 of 10,000, 1 of more than that. And if we are going to sit here and say, well, we wish some of these bigger channels or these bigger things wouldn't do, you know, this is too secular, or that's too much nudity, or that's too much in just the wrong direction. We can make a difference. And it starts right here.
Yeah, I don't want to scare your audience, but, you know, the enemies, you know, like I said, it's attack on marriage and the family. You know, in the very early days when I started this, I didn't know how dark it was. Hollywood is very dark and demonic. They finance, there are groups and lobbyists that finance content that goes against our Christian faith. You know, that's how much they hate you. They want to destroy your marriage. They want your son to live a sinful life, whatever it's, if he's straight, gay, it doesn't matter. They want to influence them. And it's so demonic. And so I think the only solution, like you said, is really just $100 to $200 per crowdfunded film. I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people. I know the economy's terrible, but just imagine how much impact one little film is going to do to pierce that. And to be honest with you, when the film's done, the movie studios, you'd think they'd hate you. They don't hate filmmakers. They want to make money like everyone else. It's just, that's the reality. I'll tell a true story before we wrap. I went to a studio to pitch my next movie, which was Our Lady of Guadalupe. And I said, match me $1 million and I'll raise $1 million. And you know what they told me?
You can't do it.
No, we're not going to do it. But let's do another project. I was like, fine. So it's always those obstacles. But that's the thing. It's like, for me, I know the power of that film. Like the film we just finished, the Crusader film. I think it's very straight to the point. The Crusades were good. That's it, right? But why is Our Lady of Guadalupe so important at these times? What times are we living in right now? Well, they're murdering so many children in the womb right now, right? Wasn't that the whole, like, you know, in like I said earlier about the indigenous, the lies of the indigenous, all the indigenous became Catholic. And they're saying, you know, oh no, the Mayan, you know, we got to worship this Pachamama, or we got to worship this idol. I'm like, you don't know your faith? So we have, and you know, you have to educate. Like, most of Catholics are Latino, whether you like it or not. So you have, and they probably have tattoos of Our Lady of Guadalupe, but don't even know the story, right?
I didn't think about that.
It's so important to educate the flock, not through preaching. I mean, a podcast is great. We could talk for an hour and a half about the beauty of Our Lady of Guadalupe and the miracles and, you know, the symbolism and the music. But the reality is the audiences, they want war. They want truth. They want raw. They want Mel Gibson quality. They want blood. That was the whole point of the sacrifices. Well, she comes in, she says, you know, there's so many symbolism behind it. And the thing about Knights of the Cross, we turned to film. If you watch clips of it, it looks like $1 million film, but we made it for almost less than $200,000, right? Wow. So we have the ability and the resources and the talent to make cinematic content at a very high end output. And it's because, I hate to say it, artificial intelligence went a long way. So we did implement a lot of rotoscoping, a lot of post with artificial intelligence. And, making movies like Our Lady of Guadalupe, it might be in Texas and it might be in San Diego because that's where the resources are. We have the boats in San Diego. The Coast Guard gave us the green light. Texas is coming up with tax rebates. So the thing is, like, we could do these projects, but we need people to support projects like the Christian Channel. And like I said, it doesn't take that many people, about 1,000 to 3,000.
Tell our audience directly, where can they find you? What can they support you on? And what are your goals? Well,
right now we're at the tail end of our crowdfund. So we are still crowdfunding for Knights of the Cross. The crowdfund goal is $50,000. And right now we raised just around $42,000. So the end of the campaign is November 15th. So it's coming up pretty close. So what you get in that campaign is you get your name featured on the ending credits of Knights of the Cross episode 2. And you support a beautiful project. And we're in discussion. We have opportunities to be on HBO, Hulu, Peacock. So the studios want to stream it. That's the beautiful thing. But how they could support us, if you miss that opportunity, go to christianchannel.com, become a paid member. It's like the Christian version of Netflix or Hulu. It's really awesome. And that helps us in the long run. If we had 3,000 of those paid subscribers, we'll be making more great content.
Perfect.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm always, Shelly and I get to talk to a lot of different people from the podcast and from our work through CatholicMom.com. And I feel so uplifted to know there's so many good people out there really, really pushing. And, I would say pushing the envelope in a good way to help us as individuals and help our families really live a good and faithful life. So I really appreciate that. Because I hate to think, what you're telling me about Hollywood, I hate to even think about those kinds of things that people are out there, actual people trying purposely. I always like to think of them as just ignorant rather than purposely out to destroy our faith.
They hate God. They just hate Jesus, and they'll do anything they can. That's why I guess I'll share here. I don't talk about it publicly. I do say it in meetings. That's why we need to support each other. So it breaks my heart when one podcaster says negative things about another podcaster because she wore her hair the wrong way, something ridiculous. That is so petty. And it really, they hate us so much that they want to obliterate you. They want to destroy you. They want to bankrupt you. It's demonic. It's that simple. So who's going to rally behind this? I honestly believe it's going to be older people. I honestly believe it's going to be 55 and up. If we had 55 and up people, 55, 65, that said, you know what, I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to give a gift to my son who fell away from the faith. And I'm going to give him a free gift to the christianchannel.com for 1 year. Maybe he'll watch something. Right. Maybe it was something, he'll watch a classic movie like The Bells of St. Mary's and say, wow, I really did appreciate that. Really, who financed Knights of the Cross were young men, right? Oh. I've been in marketing for so long. You know who's the hardest demographic to raise money from?
Young men.
Young men. They don't want to, I have my pickup truck and I got this, I got that. I'm good. They'll sleep on a couch.
Right.
But it was a miracle from God that we raised enough funds to get this project made. Okay. Seriously. So that is a living testament. I'm extremely grateful. I wouldn't be here without these strong young men, and the young men get it. This younger generation, they get the demonic. The millennials, like my age, don't. They're kind of oblivious. And I know we could talk for another hour or two, but we were brainwashed. The millennials were a brainwashed generation. We were brainwashed to go to college to get $250,000 in debt. We're brainwashed that we must sleep with 1,000 women, and that's the way life should be. Our fathers left us. 20% of our fathers weren't even in the homes, so we were raised by the television. I'm telling you, again, it's about destroying marriage and the family. It's literally the message of Fatima. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I love what you just said about middle-aged and older, and buying something maybe for your children, for your young adult children, because I think that I have Gen Zers, and I think they're hungry. They're for truth, for knowledge, for hope, to see just a beauty in the world that they have not always seen, and it's not. They understand that there is a whole lot of darkness. They grew up with dystopian fiction, not only in books, but in movies and TV shows. And now they're hungering for something hopeful and light. And a lot of them have fallen away from the faith. And I think that, I'll say Gen X boomers, I think that we are called to really do what we can to help them. Those of us who have, like you said, the 100, 200, whatever, but that is a gift that we do it, and maybe they'll tune in. I mean, they stream a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So give them that opportunity to see something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was going to say we have the power to be able to make a positive change on a young person's life in this way, and it sounds, it sounds, I hate to say easy, to buy a subscription and let them be exposed to really good, positive content. And I love what you just said about the Knights of the Cross being funded by young men, because that tells you that they are hungry. And I loved that whole little bit, because that was definitely your audience with that episode. And it was beautiful. So the visuals were just stunning. So that's a great way to capture their attention. So, and I'm really curious about this Our Lady of Guadalupe projects.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we're doing our best. The thing is, it has to have a rock star cast. So if you watch the Christian Channel podcast, I'm kind of hinting like, hey, Danny Trejo's on our podcast. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in Guadalupe. So we do interview celebrities on our end too. Rob Schneider has a phenomenal script. I don't know if you know Rob. Rob is a new Catholic. He was on our show, and he talked. He has the Shroud of Turin movie. He has the Shroud of Turin movie script ready to rock and roll. We had this wonderful Italian actor, Joe Mantegna, who was on NCIS. He has the Padre Pio movie script sitting on his desk. So, and he's such a great guy. And he looks just like Padre Pio, by the way. I don't know if you guys look at what Joe Mantegna looks. So there's a lot of great guys in Hollywood that have these great, beautiful projects. But I am Mexican, okay? So, I have a little Italian, a little Mexican, and, I'm a mutt. But basically, Mexicans need to know their faith. And that's what's covering most of the United States right now, is Latinos in the Catholic Church that are hungry, but they just don't want to read the Bible. And so let's show them the Bible. That's why Passion of the Christ was so impactful, because people saw it, right? It's not make-believe. Jesus wasn't an invention. It's not like we made it up, right? Where they saw the passion. They need to see with Guadalupe, if we make this film, they need to see the sacrifice of the indigenous, what they did to those children. Because when the Spaniards came, they knew instantly with the dragon iconography, they saw the murder of children on the hill. We still do child sacrifice today, but it's different. And Mel Gibson brought it up too. I'm surprised he did. He was on Joe Rogan, and that's exactly what he said, because it's true. So that's why it's important. It's going to be a very pro-life movie, but it's not too in your face, but it will be very bloody, but there's a happy ending. Our Lady loves you. That's the ending. And she loves everybody. She's not racist, okay? Regardless of what Christian denominations you think you are. Yeah. She loves you all. You are all children of God. And that's what the beauty of it. And so if we love the child in the womb, then why are we murdering our children? Maybe this movie will make an impact. But I need people. I need an audience. If I don't have an audience, it's just a good idea. Just like Rob Schneider has an audience. He has a great script. Joe Mantegna has a great script, but they need money to make this film. So the roadblock that we're facing is the crowdfunding. That's why I'm a big fan of Triumph of the Heart. They did it. They did it. And look at what's going on right now. It's a beautiful movie about St. Maximilian Kolbe, and I hope they do more great work.
I do too.
I love that there are so many of you working together now to inspire and educate people through storytelling in ways that emotionally capture them and lead them to think and learn from it. So I have to say thank you to you for this project and for what you're doing. So.
Oh, thank you so much, Shelly and Lisa. I don't want to scare your audience, but there was some weirdness going on during post-production. So, we've had about, I want to say nearly 100 people work on this project, the Knights of the Cross project. But we do, to make a great film, I work with Protestants, Mormons, Muslims, everybody helped out on set. But we did scare a Protestant editor because he's been editing for a very long time. He's like, hey, bro, this has never happened before. I was like, what happened? I just got a bunch of computer glitches. This doesn't happen. I'm like, hey, welcome to the club. So it's a part. He told me, he's like, this is going to be a good one, man. This is going to be a good one. You know who doesn't want it out, and he's a Protestant guy. So I give him. Everyone's in different levels of their faith. I certainly was. I'm still striving for that summit, right? I still want to make it to the top, but. Just understand if you can't support us financially, please pray a rosary for us because we do get attacked, and I don't want to share too much with the audience and scare people, but yes, please pray a rosary for us if you can't support us financially.
That's a great reminder. Everyone should pray for you either way. Whether they support you financially or not, everyone should include the Christian channel.
And the Pope, Lisa. Pray for the Pope.
Of course. Yes. Yep. So, all right. Okay. I think it's time for us to move on to our questions, Shelly, that we ask of all of our guests.
Yes, Austin, we kind of gave you a preview of this earlier, but because Lisa and I are siblings who work together, we have lots of stories about each other, and we ask all of our guests if they have a sister or brother, if they would be willing and able to share a sibling story.
Yeah, I guess I could share a miracle if you want to hear a miracle story. So when I was 6 years old, and I didn't grow up with any siblings, and I prayed to God, give me a brother. And my mom, I didn't know this, was going through some ovarian cancer. And so she didn't know she was going to have a baby. By miracle, we have my little brother, Chris. Oh, wow. So yeah, that is the miracle story. He is, whether he likes it or not, I still love him. Bro, siblings, it's hard to get along, but we mostly fight. Yes. But so I love my brother, and he is a miracle baby, and I'm so grateful to have him in my life.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, and last question is, what go-to saint is currently walking with you through the stage in your life as you are doing battle with the secular world? I have to say St. Joseph's is pulled through a lot of times, but I have to lean against that a little bit because I've been leaning towards Blessed Miguel Agustin Pro. I think he is a Mexican. I hope one day he becomes a saint, but he's the famous Mexican saint, or that says "Viva Cristo Rey," and the Mexican government shot him. I think I'm a little worried about our country. And, the direction we're going. 100 years ago, Mexico went through some really evil times where they were hanging priests in front of the churches. They were killing nuns, and the church had to leave Mexico. Mm-hmm. But there was a small ragtag redneck country bumpkin Catholics in the middle of Jalisco that fought back, and those were called the Cristeros, and they made a good movie about it called For Greater Glory. But Blessed Miguel Agustin Pro prayed the rosary. He loved the poor, and he loved Our Lady of Lourdes. It was that moment. I was on another podcast, and we're talking about movies, and they asked me, if you had to make a movie, an easy one to make, I said, who would you cast? I said, I would cast Michael Knowles, because he looks just like Miguel Agustin Pro, identical. They could be twins. Michael's Sicilian, right? So he has that nice, tan skin, but he could pass for a Latino, Mexican. But yeah, I think we need a saint, and I lean on him because I asked myself, and we should all ask ourselves these questions: am I willing to die for my faith?
Am I willing to die? Yes. So, but I can't do it alone. I have to look at the saints and seek that sainthood. Like how did he achieve it? I think he only achieved, that courage to do that because of our Blessed Lady. He went to Lourdes. So long story short, I'm leaning on him because it is a battle. I can't do it alone. I go to meetings. I do go to, I do sit down with presidents of these big companies. And if you know anything about Hollywood, these CEOs come and go all the time. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities, the pitch movies, but we'll see. It's in God's hands.
Wow. You were definitely
I love
fighting
that.
the
That's
battle.
a first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea of Blessed Miguel. Oh, fantastic.
Yes, no one has said him. So that is a first for us.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
All right. And one more time, Austin, where people can go to find you, to support you.
Very simple. All you have to do is go to christianchannel.com. christianchannel.com. If you want to support us, all you have to do is become a paid member for a year, which I believe is like less than $5 a month. It's $4.09. It's $49 a year, and you get access to all of our great documentaries. And I forgot to mention that. That's probably the reason why we're still around, is because we produce just under 100 documentaries about Blessed Miguel Augustine Pro, our most popular is Mother Teresa. And it's like History Channel, but for Christians, for Catholics, really. And the reason why we're not Catholic Channel is because we are the original Christians. Jesus Christ founded the Catholic Church, and we have to retake what other denominations took from us. And we have to reclaim that. So we are Christian. We're the first Christians. So go to christianchannel.com. I greatly appreciate all the support you can get.
It sounds like a great Christmas gift or a stocking stuffer for those who are listening before the Christmas season begins. So yeah, that's a great idea.
I want to say thank you for being here, Austin. And for our listeners, don't forget to learn more about Knights of the Cross, to watch it, and go to the christianchannel.com. Right? Com. I know I heard it 100 times and I just blanked on it. All of a sudden, I didn't want to say it wrong. The christianchannel.com. And I'm assuming you're on social. I know you're on YouTube. And find them out there. And we'll put the links in the show notes. And as always, thank you, listener, for being a part of Sound Mind and Spirit's community. If today's conversation inspired you, which we really hope that it did, share this episode with a friend, and be sure to subscribe and come back each week to find out what's coming up next. All right. Thank you and goodbye.
Amen. God bless. Thank you, everybody.